Welcome back to Mass Effect. The last thing we did was we took on Feros and defeated the Thorian there, which allowed Shepard to experience Prothean culture. It didn't seem to allow her to experience Thorian culture, which I'd imagine there isn't that much because it's just a giant plant. But it's also hard to tell, like, is that the only giant plant of the Thorian species? Are there other Thorians out there? It's inconclusive at this time. But now we're in the after mission phase of the game, in which basically every time we complete a story mission, more dialogue opens up between you and your fellow characters. Joker, not so much. He has pretty much...
Hey, Commander, next time we touch down, let's try not to park the ship in a colony of mutant zombies. Just thinking out loud here.
That's all you got. I think that's good advice, though.
I have to go.
Although I think with the nature of Commander Shepard's job is that if there is a colony of mutant zombies, that's where she's going. There's Navigator Presley. I'm sure he has very important things to say. But a lot of I think a lot of this episode is essentially going to be just talking to the different characters. Now the main characters that you actually go on missions have a lot more to say than like the other side characters. But I believe Dr. Chakwas does have her own subplots.
Commander? Is there something you need?
But not until Mass Effect 2.
Go.
Goodbye, Commander.
But first, let's talk to Liara. As Commander Shepard creepily walks up to her from behind.
Commander, are you coming to check up on me?
You look much better. How are you feeling?
Dr. Chakwas assures me I am going to be fine. I was impressed with her knowledge of Asari physiology.
She's the best around.
You're in good hands.
Nothing's
Dr.
gonna ever
Chakwas
bring
knows
her
what she's
down.
doing.
I get the feeling you want to ask me something, Commander.
Would you like to know more?
Maybe we could pick up where we left off. You were telling me about your interest in the Protheans.
Actually, I think I was talking about my interest in you, and making a fool of myself in the process. As I said, I am not used to dealing with people, especially humans. I did not really know much about your species when we first met, Shepard. I found it hard to take humanity seriously. Your kind always seemed so rushed and high-strung.
Has
What
your
about now?
opinion changed at all?
It has. I have been watching you and your crew. It has taught me a lot about your species. You humans are creatures of action. You pursue your goals with an almost indomitable determination. It is an admirable trait, but also an intimidating one.
I would also imagine that, okay, so Liara here is a member of the Asari race. The Asari race all are blue women. So, I would imagine it would be easy for that race to be specifically racist against every other species of alien, as they're all the same. There is no diversity among them. Like, they have no understanding of it if they live in their own isolated communities. And then they go off and they're like, oh, what are all these aliens? Like, even the Quarians don't necessarily have that same issue, because at the very least there are multiple genders rather than the Asari that have just the one.
You're scared of us?
Unfortunately, the rest of the galaxy sees humanity as something of a bully. You run over anyone in your path to get what you want. It is up to people like you to change their minds, Shepard.
I'm doing the best I can, Liara.
There is a reason the Council chose you to
The
become a
best.
Spectre.
Only
They saw
losers
something
whine
special in
about the
you.
best.
The best of what humanity has to offer. I looked into your history. I know what you did during the Blitz. It was a remarkable display of courage and heroism.
Why are you so interested in me?
I wanted to know more about you. to understand what made you into the woman you are. There is something compelling about you, Shepard.
But do you want to have sex with me or sex with the beacon?
You're interested in me because of my visions. You just want to know more about the Protheans.
I admit, your connection to the Protheans had something to do with my initial interest, but it has grown beyond that. You intrigue me, Shepard, but I was not sure if it was appropriate to act on my feelings. I thought there might already be a relationship between you and Lieutenant Alenko.
Okay, so you can have like a romance type thing going on in the Mass Effect games. Depending on the gender you choose, certain people are going to be available, certain people are not. I've always chose Liara in regards to Mass Effect 1. Mass Effect 2, I chose nobody because I don't care about any of those choices. And then Mass Effect 3, it ended up with Samantha Trainer because she is the coolest.
The Lieutenant and I are just friends. Nothing more.
My mistake, then. I am not as adept at understanding human relationships as I thought. But what about us, Shepard? Is there a mutual attraction, or was I wrong about that too?
No, you were right. There is something between us.
I knew it, and I knew you felt it too. But does this not seem rather strange? Why do I feel so close to you?
It's because we're standing only a few feet apart.
We are from two different species. We have almost nothing in common. This makes no sense.
These things never make sense. They just happen and we get swept up in the storm.
You make it sound so chaotic, so dangerous.
Like, this specific section of dialogue feels like it's just trying too hard.
I'll keep you safe.
I am not looking for a protector. This is all a bit overwhelming. I am not used to this. I need some time.
Take all the time you need, Liara. I'll be here.
Thank you, Shepard. Let's just talk about something else for now.
I should go.
If we're not banging, we
Goodbye,
got
Shepard.
nothing else to talk about. Now, regardless of which romance option you choose, there's going to be a part in time in which everybody gathers together to go off to the final mission. And it's during that trip to the final mission state that you get the climax of your romantic arrangements with whomever you choose. Mass Effect 1 probably has the raciest of the sex scenes. Everything else after that, kind of like, there's just diminishing returns and people still with their clothes on, writhing about each other, wrangling their limbs and appendages. It's not as it's kind of awkward to watch. I just left some shotguns in there. Whoops. Or is somebody refilling my locker with shotguns?
Do you have some time to talk now, Commander?
I like how they just silently walk, like she just silently walks up to them, and then he turns around and nobody says anything for the longest period of time.
Let's hear it, Lieutenant. I'm always open to my officers.
We've played it pretty close to the book so far, but we're a long way from backup. We've got some tough calls to make. I'm just saying, try to leave yourself a way out. I've seen what cutting corners can do, and I'd hate to have that happen to you, Shepard. Commander.
This a personal observation, Caden?
I don't want to step on anyone else's toes, especially if you're if I have misread your interests.
Someone? You're referring to our young Prothean expert.
I think she's older than both of us put together, but, yeah. There's a lower deck rumor that she's interested in you as more than a source of Prothean data. She's a very interesting lady. Not to my, tastes, but, I never claimed to be big on alien culture.
I don't know if we mentioned that, but, Asari lived to, 1,000 years or something. So at this point in the game, I believe Liara is 100 years old or something, which I suppose makes a romance between Liara and Shepard here almost like Twilight. Just less stupid.
You seem awfully worried about my personal affairs.
It's just that we don't have much downtime these days. I like being around you, but I don't want to take up your personal time.
Look, you didn't want to talk about Liara, did you? What's your real issue?
You're right. Sorry. It wasn't, Liara's not my main concern. I'm not questioning any decision you've made, Shepard. Let me be clear about that. It's just my experience that once someone lets something slide, it tends to pick up speed. Do you get my meaning?
Talk to me, Caden. You got a little black
What is
rain
being let
cloud sitting over
slid?
your head.
What is he talking
Try to
about?
keep the deck dry. You know the records about the biotic training out on Jump Zero? They're all classified because the Alliance made mistakes. After first contact, Kinetics was set up to track Element Zero exposures and develop implants for humans. Once we had an embassy on the Citadel, Kinetics could bring in experts instead of taking it slow.
Is there some reason we couldn't learn it on our own?
They didn't know where to start. Hell, it took a couple of years to even link biotics and Ezo. Forget trying to get the kids to move stuff. They had trouble just helping them not break their own limbs. And their choice of teachers didn't help much.
The only experts would have to be aliens.
Dead on. Turians, actually. That's why Kinetics kept it a secret. They were afraid of what people back home would think, asking the Turians for help when we just fought a war with them.
You know, so the Mass Effect trilogy, the first three games, focus more on the assimilation of biological and technological, but for the biotics, that seems like it would have been a third path that doesn't really go on. Like, at the end of Mass Effect 3, you essentially choose between destroying technology, controlling technology, or assimilating technology. But there is no become wizards path.
The Asari would have been more acceptable than the Turians.
And prettier.
They didn't go through the Citadel. It would have made Earth look weak, so they discreetly hired some Turian mercenaries.
Get your knuckles rapped a few times, Lieutenant?
Yeah, you could say that. Our instructor was a Turian by the name of Commander Vernus. To introduce himself, he liked to say, "I was at the helm of the dreadnought that killed your father." When I told him my dad wasn't in the war, he'd retired to Vancouver. My family had an inland home that matured to new beachfront. Vernus had it in for me after that. He cut corners, pushed hard. I mean, you either came out a Superman or a wreck. A lot of kids snapped. A few died. The point of all of this, I guess, is that when you cut corners, it's not always obvious who pays for it.
Again, I don't see the
So
connection.
Why are you telling me this? Are you saying I'm cutting corners somewhere?
I'm saying it's probably inevitable that we'll have to, and when that happens, I want to help you. When someone important to you is up on a ledge, you help them, keep them from mistakes better made by a kid.
Important, huh?
If I'm out of line, just say the word.
Now isn't the ideal time. But I want to talk about this, Caden.
I get you, Shepard. I don't make a habit of complicating the chain of command. Just think about what I said.
We'll talk later, Caden.
I'd like that.
The thing is with all of these character developments is because this is essentially where the character development happens. Always in between missions. Because they don't know which characters you're going to take into each mission. So you don't really learn anything about the characters in the mission itself. So you're forced to get their backstory while you're not doing any of the fighting. Towards like Mass Effect 3, like the thing with Mass Effect 3 is they have missions where you're going down with specific characters, and each character has their own like story going on. But there's still the sequences in between those missions where you go around, you talk to your squad. So it definitely affects the pacing. It creates the illusion of repetition because you're always like fighting guys, talking, fighting guys, talking, or doing an endless number of side missions where you're driving a car over spiny rocks that you really shouldn't be trying to drive over. Now we've got Garrus. I don't really remember his story so well in the first game. I spend a lot of time not talking to either Garrus or Rex, because neither of them are very interesting in part 1. Nor is Ashley or Caden. What's her face? Tally at least has the her pilgrimage story going on. You learn more about the what life was like for the Quarian people. Liara has that connection with you via the Protheans. Caden at least has the weird biotic trials that he goes through, which I personally find are interesting. And then Ashley is a huge racist. And I forgot about her upstairs, so I'll have to go back.
Commander, how are you?
Why did you want to be a C-Sec officer in the first place?
That's a good question. There were several reasons, I guess.
Are there C-Sec officers dedicated to stopping illegal prostitution? Are they called C-Sex officers?
Like what?
Probably the same as most officers. I wanted to fight injustice, wanted to help people. I guess my father had something to do with it too. He was C-Sec, one of the best. I grew up hearing about his accomplishments or seeing his picture on the vids after a big arrest. He's taking my resignation pretty hard.
Oh, by the way, Garrus becomes incredibly interesting in part 2 when he more or less just becomes Batman. Nah, not Batman. He becomes the Punisher.
He's not impressed that you're going after Saren?
My father's a C-Sec man to the bone. Do things right or don't do them at all, he says. He thinks I'm being too rash, too impatient. He's worried I'll become just like Saren. He actually talked me out of becoming a Spectre when I was younger, for the same reasons.
You were asked to be a Spectre.
Well, I was targeted as a possible Spectre candidate, me and about 1,000 other Turian military recruits. I could have received special training, but my father didn't like it. He despises the Spectres. He hates the idea of someone having unlimited power with no accountability. He wouldn't like you, Commander. No offense.
I suppose I can understand his concern.
You can. But Saren's not going to play by our rules, C-Sec's rules. If you want to nail Saren, you need to send someone who isn't restricted by policies and procedures.
Although here's the thing, like we may not be restricted by policies and procedures, but we still do represent the council. So it's not exactly like we can't do we can do anything we want.
Just because you can break the rules doesn't mean you should. I don't need to stoop to Saren's level to stop him. And neither do you, Garrus.
I see what you mean, but I'll think about it. Thanks.
Also, in Mass Effect 2, Garrus becomes a romanceable character, if you're into that sort of thing. Oh, Ashley's right here. Who would have noticed?
Commander?
What is the difference between can we talk and how are we doing?
What's
Oh,
your
okay.
opinion of the last mission?
Gotta admire those colonials. That's about the worst place for a colony I've ever seen. Given the option, I'd get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, that's true. Even if the Thorian wasn't there, that looks like a kind of crappy planet to be on.
Do you have a few minutes to talk? One-on-one?
Mano
Sure.
y mano.
I was just watching some mail from home.
Oh, before I go, we saw Caden in a news vid about the Normandy. He's cute. Later, sis.
Let's pretend this never happened.
I like how the video somehow kept playing, but nobody was saying anything until the poignant moment.
Are you
Caden.
interested in the Lieutenant Chief?
No, ma'am. And anyway, Scuttlebutt says he's already sweet on someone. What's up? You didn't come by to eavesdrop on family mail.
Your family seems to be important to you.
Yeah, we've always been close. Me and my sisters especially. With Dad on duty so much, I had to help Mom raise them.
Okay, so the option I didn't mean to snoop is not equivalent to your family seems important to you. These are separate options. I don't care.
You're lucky to have a close family.
Sorry, I forgot about your family situation.
Or lack thereof. Relax, Williams. I've dealt with it.
Ask me
Oh
if
yeah,
I'm
she's
on
an
hostels?
orphan in
No
this
problem. Dealing
playthrough.
with a foot in my mouth, not so good with that. Things were tense between Sarah and me for a while. Then we bonded.
Sounds like a story. Feel like sharing?
Sarah got herself a boyfriend who wanted to go faster than she did, Mike. I didn't think he was a bad kid, just pushy. Lynn would send me these worried vid mails, and I'd tell her to relax.
I probably mentioned this before, but I just like how much ridiculous amount of blue light is just shining on Ashley from the point of view facing her. And even in the times of Mass Effect 1, no still meant no.
If he really liked her, he wouldn't be pushy.
Yeah, of course. If he didn't ask at all, I'd
Ashley
probably
is
thought
the
Sarah
blue
was
light
ugly.
special in this case.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Mike thought they'd go for a romantic walk in the woods, because he figured it was past time they did the deed. She levered Mike face first into a tree and left. Didn't have a scratch on her. Good thing Mom and Dad had us all learn some kind of self-defense. I took emergency leave and walked Sarah to school for a few days.
Did anything happen while you were home?
My last day out, Mike was waiting for us. Sarah had told her friends, so everyone at school knew what he did. He wasn't happy. I wanted to snap him in half, but Sarah gave me this look, this let me handle it, I need to do this alone look. She kept her cool, God bless her, as he screamed in her face. She just let him vent. Then he tried to punch her. I swear, she just flowed around him. Next thing I knew, he's face down on the sidewalk, and there's blood everywhere.
That's unbelievable. Sarah must be as good as you.
Better. I'm more or less a straight-up puncher. When he swung, she wasn't there anymore, and he fell. She helped him stop the bleeding and had me call an ambulance. She told the paramedics he fell. Before they took him to the hospital, Mike touched Sarah's arm. I thought he was gonna end up on the ground again. But he hung his head, whispered, "I'm sorry," and started crying. And she hugged him. The Williams women are a decisive bunch, Commander. We do things when we're ready. Not before, not after.
And thusly, she reconciles, she forgives her would-be. It's a complicated story. Was it interesting? was pointless. Where was the dad in this scenario?
Where was your father during this? Wasn't your family stationed near him?
Dad always wanted to serve in space, but he wanted us to have real ground under our feet. He'd say, space is beautiful, but you can't raise a family there. I cannot rest from travel. I will drink life to the lees. All times I've enjoyed greatly, have suffered greatly, both with those that loved me and alone. For always roaming with
Oh my
vision
God.
out, much have I seen and known, cities of men and manners, climates, councils, governments.
Is the rest of your life story this dull?
Not everyone can win the Star of Terra, Commander. Some of us just live ordinary lives. Dad
Reading
passed on
poetry
early.
like a sucker.
He's probably still watching, though.
I thought you said he was dead.
You know, from heaven, wherever that is. That's not a problem with you, is it? That I believe in God?
Everyone has the right to believe what they want. Says so in the Alliance Charter, only with fancier words.
I'm glad you're open-minded about it. I've met a few people who are really weirded out by my faith. Because I work in space, I can't believe in a higher power? Jeez. Hello, have you people looked out the window? How can you look at this galaxy and not believe in something? I should get back to my duties. Didn't mean to take up so much of your time.
Dismissed, Chief.
Ma'am?
I think she's the only religious character in this game series. And I don't remember her plotline in regards to religion coming up later on in the trilogy. But that's not going to be too important because I'm going to probably set her up to die later on. So if you were big fans of Ashley, whoops.
So, we've got Saren on the run.
Oh yeah, I've got this thing. I've been carrying this around for like several missions now.
I found this armor. Does it belong to you?
Let me see. Damn. This is it. Hard to believe my ancestors wore this piece of crap. But at least it's back where it belongs. Thanks, Shepard. I might be starting to like you after all.
Hey, Rex, you're a Krogan? This is Krogan armor. Is this your armor?
You getting soft on me, Rex?
Just because I like you doesn't mean I wouldn't kill you. So, you got Saren on the run.
It won't be long now. Saren's good, but I'm better.
Good. He's rotten. To the core. I could tell as soon as I met him.
You knew him?
Why didn't you tell me this sooner?
I would've if I thought it was important.
I think I'd like to hear about it just the same.
This was a while ago. A bunch of mercs were bragging about a job out near the edges of the Terminus systems. They said it paid well and the boss was never around to ride them. They said he was looking for more men, too. So I checked it out.
I didn't know Saren was openly recruiting mercs.
It wasn't that open, and he only showed his face once. We'd been raiding ships in the area for months when we took out this massive cargo freighter. Our biggest haul yet. I was on board checking bodies for valuables, looking for some extra credits. That's when I saw him.
What did Saren want with the ship?
I don't know what he wanted. He was just moving through the ship, watching. A couple of the mercs called him by name, but he never spoke to them. Never spoke to anyone. I had a really bad feeling about him, so I got the hell out. Didn't even wait to get paid.
That's it? That's the story? Alright, what was the cargo?
What kind of cargo was the freighter carrying? What was Saren after?
I don't know. All I saw on that ship was food and medical supplies. There were some basic weapons, but nothing big. If there was anything of value on that ship, I didn't see it. That's why I didn't mention it sooner.
Whose ship was it?
There was a Volus trading vessel. Big one. Lots of guards. But they were no match for us.
That's the only time you saw him?
Yeah. Didn't even know who he was. Still wouldn't if I hadn't joined up with you. But my instincts were right. Every other merc on that mission turned up dead within a week. Every damn one.
So long, Rex.
Shepard.
Oh, yep, almost forgot. There's also Tully. Standing, like, is this bad for your eyes if you just work here all day? Like, you got the computer screens right in front of you, and then this, like, blinding white light in the center, and then it's constantly flashing. Like, this guy, I would imagine, like, every so often you'd want to, like, turn away, or wear shades.
Oh, hello, Shepard.
Are you okay?
I don't know. Your ship is amazing, and your crew's been really great to me, especially your chief engineer. But I just sort of feel out of place. The Normandy runs so smooth, it feels like we're not even moving. And the engines are so quiet. How do you sleep at night?
Now, I wonder, I'm just thinking about it right now. I wonder if, like, the Quarian people, they wear the suits because their bodies have terrible immune systems. Because they live on these clean ships all day. So I wonder if there was a way to artificially create an immune system, whether that would help solve their problems. Also, due to their lack of immune systems, do they have tiny suits for babies? Are there tiny baby-sized Quarian suits that the babies wear? Because if there are, that would probably be adorable.
The silence wakes you up?
Back on the flotilla, the last thing you want to hear is silence. It means an engine's died or an air filter shut down. I guess you don't have to worry about that here. But old habits die hard. But it's more than just the silence. This ship feels so empty. It's like half the crew is missing. Back home, I couldn't wait to go on my pilgrimage. I couldn't wait to get away from the crowds. Now that I'm out here, I kind of miss them.
Also, now that I think about it, where are these people sleeping? I don't remember if there's a room on this ship that has beds.
Sometimes we don't appreciate what we have till it's gone.
That's true. I'm starting to wonder if that's what the pilgrimage is really about. It's given me a whole new perspective on my people and our culture. You know, there's always a few who go on their pilgrimages and never return. I always assumed something bad happened to them, but maybe they just wanted a different life.
You do plan to return to the migrant fleet, right?
I could never abandon my people, Shepard. I will go back eventually, but we have to stop Saren first. Otherwise, I might not have a home to go back to.
I should go.
See you later.
Now, you don't actually get to see the migrant fleet in this game, but they do show up in Mass Effect 3, and they're pretty cool. Thank you for watching. If you've still got the itch for more content, why not give one of those links a try? Got some questions or comments? You can comment down below or send it on over to itsoundedgoodonpaper@gmail.com. That's itsoundedgoodonpaper@gmail.com. In the meantime, so long, folks.